Close your eyes, exhale, feel your body relax, and let go of whatever you're carrying today.
Well, I'm letting go of the worry that I wouldn't get my new contacts in time for this class. I got them delivered free from 1-800-CONTACTS. Oh my gosh, they're so fast.
And breathe.
Oh, sorry. I almost couldn't breathe when I saw the discount they gave me on my first order. Oh, sorry. Namaste.
Visit 1-800-CONTACTS.com today to save on your first order.
1-800-CONTACTS.
Unfiltered discussions. Unexpected guests. No topic is off limits, from sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Hey, welcome. Pull up a bar stool. Tonight, you'll learn a lot of things on The Last Show. Some things you didn't know you needed to learn, but you'll learn them anyway. Here is what we'll cover on the program. Your garbage can has an arch nemesis. It's a tiny masked burglar with hands, a trash panda, a dumpster bandit, a raccoon. In 10 minutes' time, we'll blow the lid off new science that says raccoons are solving puzzles in our cities just for fun. Then after that, is basic kindness the glue that holds society together? Well, that's what one psychologist says, and he'll make his argument towards the end of the hour. That is some of tonight's show. There will be more. Let's dive in.
Want to be part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
We've all been catfished before. Okay, maybe not all of us, but catfishing is when, for online dating, the person you meet's photos don't quite match the reality of how they look. Well, now the housing market has its own version. AI photos can magically fix stains in listings, clutter, even ugly power lines. It's called house phishing, and we're here to discuss it with someone who's recently written about it in Business Insider, where he is a real estate reporter, and his name is Jordan Pandy. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David.
It's such a great term, house phishing. When did we start noticing this happening? I mean, AI photo generation, AI photo tweaking, AI staging in real estate kind of just came out of nowhere. It just sort of creeped up on us in the last few years.
Yeah, I think you could say that about a lot of AI usage in people's day-to-day. It kind of just happened. Staging has happened for a very long time. Started out with people renting furniture to put into a home. Then it became virtual staging that you could do in Photoshop. And now anybody can do it at their fingertips. There's some good, there's some bad, just like anything. But yeah, it has kind of just popped up out of nowhere.
I remember seeing like listings for buildings 10, 15 years ago. The condo developer would do a rendering, and it's like, there's no way the building's going to look like that. It's ignoring the ugly building next door. But now that tool is in anyone's hands. How often are people using AI to touch up real estate listing photos that you're seeing out there?
I would say more and more as the days go on. I spoke with a real estate agent in Virginia who said that about 30 to 40% of the listings she sees have used some sort of AI with the photos. It kind of happens all the time if you can see it. And it's getting a little bit more egregious in some certain situations, but it's kind of always been there.
Well, we got to dig into the egregious examples. I mean, house phishing sounds so dramatic. What kinds of things are being changed? I imagine some are little, they don't seem that unethical or dishonest. And then I imagine some are just completely outrageous.
Right. I think all of the real estate professionals I spoke with are kind of in the same boat. Little things, changing the paint color, changing the furniture in the home is somewhat okay. But when you start to get to structural changes in the home, that's where it becomes a problem. Putting a window not where a window is, putting a fireplace where a fireplace is not supposed to be, things that a contractor would have to do once you buy the home, is kind of like the line that should not be crossed.
We've all seen it like in the last, 20, 30 years since listings went online. Tricks like using a wide angle lens or cleaning up a little bit more than the tenant in there has cleaned up, or maybe some rented furniture. I'm sure real estate agents would say this is just like that. This is just us spiffing up a listing. That's the word I'm looking for. But at what point do we go from like good marketing to digital deception? Where is the line?
Yeah, there's a line between showing the potential of a home versus completely changing the idea of the home. That's where it gets a little bit tricky. Again, when it comes to small things, like maybe even fixing a scratch on a wall, fixing up scratches on the floor, but removing a power line that would obstruct the view from the second floor bedroom, that is something that is a little bit disappointing. I spoke with a few different agents and they said it's a pretty big letdown when you bring your client to a home and it looks nothing like the pictures. I mean, that's just a waste of time. People have jobs, they have to take time off to go see this. So anything that would require a lot of work is kind of crossing the line.
What is the feeling amongst a home buyer when they walk into a home, they love the listing, and then it's completely different than what they expected? They've basically been house fished. Do they yell at the agents? Like, what are actual home buyers saying?
It's probably similar to what you would do if you walked into a restaurant and your date looked nothing like the photos. It's pretty disappointing. You might be a little upset. I know one of the agents I spoke with, she went to the home before bringing the client. I think a lot of people are going to have to do that now because it's a waste of people's time. People are disappointed. Usually the agents are going to get a lot of flack for it when it could not be their fault. So a lot of people are upset about it, but there are some ways to stop the agents from having this happen.
Well, let's talk about that. I think we should be able to regulate or force like real estate brokerages, or you can't have a license unless you follow certain rules. I mean, this is a regulated profession, being an agent.
Sure.
Are there better rules that we could have? Are some jurisdictions doing better than others when it comes to virtual staging or AI touch-ups and stuff?
Right. So California just passed Assembly Bill number 723, which requires agents to disclose whether or not they've used any AI or any photo enhancing tools. And even if they do post it to those, they need to also post the original photo side by side. So you can see this is what we think it might look like, but here's what it actually looks like. And not every state has laws like that, but I would imagine that we will be seeing that in the future. I know that the National Association of Realtors, they have their own ethics code that they need to abide by, which is something similar to that rule in California, but not every agent is a member of the NAR. So you're going to have some people that don't really have any rules to follow.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I think the side-by-side photo thing is great because there are some positives here, like house staging companies where I live in New York and in other parts of the world, especially expensive cities. Like, that's a racket. People end up spending tens of thousands of dollars to put fancy furniture in their house. And if they can just achieve that look with a photo, that's probably a good thing as long as they're not doing anything dishonest. I mean, there are some upsides to this technology, right? Surely.
Absolutely. I think it gives a lot of power to agents. I spoke with another agent in Oklahoma who said she had to pay photographers hundreds of dollars to take photos, to alter the photos afterwards, and now she can just do it on her phone at the fingertips. I did speak with the photographer and I asked her, are you gonna lose any business from this? And she said, I'm not really worried about it. She did add AI enhancing to her repertoire of things that she does to properties, but I think for the most part, a lot of the agents are happy with being able to do this on the fly.
Zooming out a bit, if AI can like rewrite what a home looks like, if we can house fish people, does this hint at a bigger problem where anything we look at online can be just slightly fictional? Like we can't trust a photo of a product, a listing, anything now?
I think that when you're looking for a home, you should be wary of what you're looking at. That probably has always been the case, but when you're looking online, you need to be a little bit more diligent at what you're looking at. I think for the most part, people now are not buying homes without seeing them, although that did happen a lot, especially during the pandemic. People were going to home sight unseen and buying, but it would be a little bit irresponsible to not go to a home and look at it in person, especially as these AI tools have become more and more advanced. I spoke with someone who has his own AI tool that will help him tidy up. If he has clothes on the floor, clothes on the bed, dishes in the sink, the tool will just wipe all of that away. So they do small things, they do big things, so you do need to really look out for what's going on.
I can't wait for that tool to exist in real life where I take a photo, the robot comes
Right.
and tidies up for me and does it actually. Well, you can read more about this in Business Insider. Jordan Pandy's piece is called Home Buyers Have Another Thing to Worry About. This time it's house fishing. Jordan's a real estate reporter for BI. Jordan, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Again, thanks for having me, David.
Coming up after the break, one of the world's foremost raccoon experts blows the lid on a new study that says raccoons solve puzzles just because they're curious. Now, does that make trash pandas the genius garbage bin openers that they are? We'll find out next.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Don't chew on that, Max.
Cooper loves that chew too.
Oh, now he's into Cooper's food. Wow, he is loving it. What do you feed Cooper?
Blue Buffalo Life Protection Formula. He never leaves a crumb. I love it because it's made with high-quality protein, nutrient-rich fruits and veggies, and wholesome whole grains.
Looks like we're switching to Blue.
Blue Buffalo foods are made with the superior ingredients your dog needs to thrive. Can your dog food say that? Visit feedbluefood.com to learn more.
Broadcasting intimate details and useless information from an undisclosed location in New York City. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Raccoons are puzzling animals. That's because, according to a new study, they solve puzzles just for the fun of it. See what I did there? So, if a trash panda causes mischief, is that intellectual curiosity? And if it is, it raises an important question. Are they just freeloading dumpster bandits? Or are they furry little scientist problem solvers? We're about to discuss everything about raccoons with one of the world's foremost raccoon scientists, animal behavior and cognition researcher at the University of British Columbia, Hannah Griebling. Hannah, I know you wouldn't describe yourself as one of the world's foremost raccoon researchers, but I feel you are. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there are only a few of us out there, so.
Wait, it's a relatively small community? Do you all know each other?
We do, yeah.
There's got to be some guy or some gal out there who's in the raccoon community here like, oh, you're so annoying.
No, I know them all. About half of them were my lab mates, so we all get along pretty darn well, actually.
All right. I'll stop trying to cause drama in your
Sorry
community.
Sorry to tell you, yeah.
No. Okay, let's get to the science of it. When people hear raccoon intelligence, we just think of them being geniuses at opening up trash cans and then opening them up and causing chaos. But how smart are they really? Like, what kind of level of intelligence does it take to open up a complex mechanism on a trash can?
Yeah. So it's definitely something where we are still learning so much about them, exactly how smart they are, because there really hasn't been a lot of formal research done with raccoons and their cognitive abilities. So there were some researchers in the early 1900s that attempted to make them lab animals, like rats and pigeons were used for cognition studies. And they kept, true to raccoon form, they kept escaping their enclosures and causing lots of problems for the researchers. So they were kind of given up on as a species, a research species, for quite a bit of time. And then now technology is kind of caught up to where we have all these like really great night vision cameras. We have really cool, microchips that we can use to permanently identify them. And so the research now into raccoon cognition has really started expanding in the last, 20-ish years. Which is really exciting as a scientist. And I'm so sorry, I forgot your original question.
Oh, no. I was just like, how smart are... There is no question. The question is, how smart are they actually?
Yeah. So I always tell people, there's some people that think like, oh, they can like pick a lock and get it open. They're not there. They're not there yet, but they certainly are really excellent problem solvers. And their main adaptation for foraging, which in the natural environment, they would be foraging in...
Is it the thumb? Is it their thumbs?
So the common misconception, they don't actually have a true thumb.
Wait, you're not going to believe some idiot with a microphone on the radio versus a raccoon scientist? I'm pretty sure I'm right and you're wrong. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
What is that fifth digit then?
It is a common misconception. So to have a true thumb, you have to have this right angle here when your thumb sticks out to the side, like primates and humans do.
And raccoons have wrong angle thumbs, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. That fifth digit just sits up by what would be our index finger. So it sticks out a little bit, but it's not a true thumb at that right angle. But they still have a ton of dexterity in those forepaws. Primarily because when they are foraging in their natural environments, they are feeling around in streams and in leaf litter and things like that. And so they have a lot of nerve endings in those forepaws. And so that is like their main sense, the main way that they gather information about their environment and they capture food. And so that adaptation sets them up really well to live alongside us because they are able to manipulate objects in their environment in the same way that humans are. So even without that thumb, they are pretty dexterous, but there is a limit to what they can open, certainly.
Got it. It's a false thumb. Is that what you call it?
I would just say it's just a digit.
A digit. Fine.
Close, yeah. It really doesn't look like a thumb.
All right. I'm not brushed up in my raccoon science.
Sorry.
Let's get to your study where raccoons are given problems to solve and marshmallows to eat should they complete the puzzles.
Yeah.
That's all fine and well. What happened after they got their marshmallows? Were they still interested in solving these puzzles?
Yeah, so that was the really interesting finding that we had for this study. So we already knew from previous work done with raccoons that they would engage in what we call repeated innovation. So if you give them a puzzle box with multiple entry points, multiple problems for them to solve, they solve one of them, get a food reward out, and then you lock that solution that they've learned to solve. And that essentially is like asking them like, okay, you can't solve this one now. What are you going to do? Are you able to innovate again and open another solution on the puzzle box?
And were they doing that? Are they tiny innovators? Is that what we're trying to say here?
Yes, definitely. So we already knew that about raccoons. So what we asked with this study was a pretty simple question, is that what happens if we just don't lock any of the solutions on the puzzle box? So we gave them a puzzle box. So we had 9 total solutions, but they only got 3 at a time. And we had 9 because we had 3 easy solutions, 3 medium level solutions, and then 3 hard solutions, or what we thought would be hard for them to solve. And I put the box in with them. This was done with captive raccoons. And I left it there for 20 minutes. It had 1 marshmallow inside, but 3 access points, essentially. And when I came back, I was actually surprised that they had opened all 3 solutions on the puzzle box within that 20 minutes. And so that was something that we found most of the raccoons in the study did. I think it was only 1 individual that only opened just 1 solution at the medium level, but still opened multiple solutions at the easy and hard.
Honestly, relatable. I feel like there are those among us, our friends are all productive and studious, and then we got a lazy friend too,
There's always variation to behavior. So not surprising there, but it was surprising that they were willing to still engage in that problem solving and innovative behavior, even when there wasn't a food reward directly resulting from that behavior. So we do think that there is some sort of intrinsic motivation to the raccoons, much like, if you're trying to solve a puzzle or a level of a video game, or just that feeling of like when you have a curiosity and you finally get the answer, right? So we think that sort of intrinsic motivation is present in, of course, humans and some other non-human animals. And so we think that there might be some intrinsic motivation for the raccoons into, engaging with these problems and problem solving.
I imagine this would serve them well, this curiosity, in urban environments where there's gates and locks and trash bin handles that are complicated and sneaky ways to get, trash. After all, they are trash pandas.
Yes.
That's their official Latin name, I think.
Yeah. So, definitely. We think that it could be one of the reasons why they are so successful in urban environments and in suburbs, because if you are living in those areas, you have a lot of problems to solve. So getting into garbage is like the classic one. So can you learn how to lift the lid of a garbage bin? If someone comes and puts a bungee cord on top of that garbage bin, can you figure it out again? If you think of like a takeout container, we call that extractive foraging in my field. So you have to remove a food item from a protective matrix, like a takeout container. So you need to figure out how to bust into that. Figuring out latches. I've had people send me videos of raccoons coming through, doggy doors in the middle of the night to eat their cat's food or whatever it is. So that behavior could really benefit them in urban environments where there are all these problems to solve, because the more problems you learn to solve, then potentially the more access to resources you have.
Has humanity accidentally created the perfect puzzle playground for raccoons by building cities? That is what we're going to discuss when we come back after the break with Hannah Griebling, a raccoon researcher. Let's be honest, she's an animal and behavior cognition researcher at the University of British Columbia. I want to know more about raccoons. Hannah, when we come back, we're going to find out answers to rapid fire raccoon questions.
Okay.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Broadcasting from the intersection of chaos and more chaos. The last show with David Cooper.
We're here with someone who has perhaps my favorite job title in the world, raccoon researcher. I kid. She's an animal and behavior cognition researcher at the University of British Columbia, and she is studying raccoons. And they are smarter than you think. Not only do they solve puzzles well, they kind of do it for curiosity, not just to get access to your trash. Hannah Griebling is her name. Hannah, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
My question before the break, are cities like the perfect playground for raccoons to show off their skills and their curiosity and get rewarded by food and trash?
Yeah, definitely. Certainly we're still trying to figure out, which came first, the city or the raccoon, right? So we know raccoons have been associated with urban environments kind of as long as they've been around in North America. So we're still trying to answer the question of, are they doing these things in their natural environment and then they're just adapting, or are cities actually selecting for these cognitive traits? So are, raccoons able to come into cities and live in cities so well because they have these cognitive traits, or are the cities shaping these cognitive traits? So that's a question we don't really have an answer to yet, but stay tuned. Hopefully we will someday.
Now, is boldness a trait that's important? Because I feel like there's probably animals out there with similar dexterity in their paws or whatever and similar cognitive abilities, but they're kind of scared of us. Urban environments are unfamiliar, foreign, and they're skittish. I'm thinking of like horses, any noise would like freak out a horse and it would run away. Raccoons just don't seem to GAF. I don't know what those letters stand for because I'm not allowed to say those words, but is that a trait that's made them so effective in cities and around people? Like if I approach a raccoon, I'm thinking, hey buddy, I'm bigger than you. Why don't you run away? But instead it just hisses at me and keeps eating garbage.
Sure. Yeah, they definitely are well habituated, especially in a lot of cities. You are talking to a horse girl, so if we want to talk about the comparison between horses and raccoons, we can go there. But I don't think that was your point. But
no, I'm just saying there are animals that spook easy, that are scared easily, and raccoons are not one of them.
Yeah. So we do think that raccoons are what we call neophilic, so they have a really strong attraction to novelty. And that could be driven by the fact that they are generalists. So they eat a lot of different food. That's why another reason why they are able to eat all of our garbage, because even in the wild, they will eat plants and insects and fish and everything they can get their little paws on, pretty much. So in order to be a generalist, you need to be comfortable with like going after new food items. And so that can make you, as a species overall, can make you neophilic and really attracted to novelty. And so we do think that that is one trait that raccoons probably have, and that also sets them up for success in cities.
Do you think that their intelligence has evolved over generations, sharing urban space with us, like going into ancient trash bins and eating ancient candy wrappers or whatever they ate like in cities 10, 50,000 years ago, that kind of thing?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, like I said, they've been associated with cities or human settlements for quite a long time, and actually expanded their populations westward as sort of westward expansion happened as well, and there were more and more human settlements. So yeah, it's a question I would love to have a solid answer to, but I do think that a lot of their traits that they already had from living in their natural environment sort of set them up for success. And then potentially they are, those traits are getting honed by natural selection occurring in those cities.
Let's talk about adorability, because that's a trait that I think makes it easier to share urban space with them. I, at the commercial break, described raccoons to you as the most adorable specimen of vermin. You took umbrage with the word vermin. I think we resolved on nuisance. Why are they the cutest nuisances that we can think of in our cities? For example, I don't know how you feel about cockroaches, but these are not cute nuisances. Raccoons are, with their little eyes and their cute little non-thumbs and stuff.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I think that is one thing that makes them really special and why we are so fascinated by them. And I think especially if you live in a big city, they are one of the ways that we can sort of interact with the natural environment. And so I think that is one reason why we have such a great appreciation for them. And actually, as a different part of my dissertation research, I did surveys of humans to see how people in Vancouver feel about raccoons. And one of the top feelings that people have is that they are adorable or cuteness. And so I think that helps with our tolerance of them. And then that feeds back into that behavior of them being less afraid of humans, and then potentially feeds back into some of those nuisance behaviors as well.
All right, I got rapid fire raccoon questions for you, Hannah. Are you ready for them?
I'm ready.
All right. What are some raccoon talents that most people don't know about?
Oh, probably my favorite one is that they can climb down a tree facing forwards. So they're one of the few animals of their size that can actually climb downwards head first.
Cool. I don't know why that's important, but it sounds important and I like it. And I'm sure as a raccoon scientist, it must be. Do they mate for life, or are they just hanging along, mating with whoever comes along, like the swingers club, the key party kind of thing?
Yeah, they don't mate for life. So we don't know a ton about their reproduction and their mate choice and things like that. But what we do know is that they do potentially have a raccoon friend. So we're still sort of studying their social environment. But there was one study conducted that showed so they will share dens with another raccoon. And that raccoon, the males will share with females, females will share with other females, and males will share with other males. And they are not necessarily related. So we often think of something called kin selection, where it's adaptive to, protect members that also have your same genes, so that those genes have a better chance of getting passed on. So it's really surprising that they're not sharing a den or necessarily associating with other raccoons that they're most closely related to.
If you get a group of sheep together, it's a herd. If you get a group of crows together, it's a murder. A group of whales, a pod, a group of yuppies, I think they call that a brunch. I don't know. What is a group of raccoons called?
They're called a gaze.
A gaze of raccoons. I'm learning things. How would you describe a raccoon's run? Do they scamper? Do they scuttle? Do they waddle along?
Yeah, they have a really specific gait, and they have this really arched back, which makes them very distinctive. So I think a scuttle is a good word, or scamper. They kind of roll along, and then they actually. So if you're out in the snow or mud and you're looking for raccoons, they have a really unique gait pattern that makes their tracks really identifiable, because their back leg will always come up and stamp a footprint right next to where their front foot was. So they have this really identifiable gait as well.
Raccoons are described as forbidden pandas or forbidden pets because they're cute and adorable with their little bandit eye thing. But if you keep them as pets, it's a terrible idea. Why?
Well, number one, they smell terrible.
Lovely.
So that's the one thing I always warn people. They have a very distinct musky odor that's rather unpleasant. And then they also they're not domesticated. People will tell me all the time, we had one as a kid, or I had one growing up. And then as soon as they reach sexual maturity, they get quite aggressive.
They get bitey and scratchy and hissy and yelly.
Exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, friend-shaped, but not friend.
I used to live in Toronto. In my apartment one night, we heard screaming in a tree. It was like a horrific noise. And I think two males were maybe fighting. Should I be alarmed when I hear that sound? Because it's quite alarming, the fighting noises that raccoons make.
Sure, yeah. They can be quite aggressive, even with one another. So, yeah, I would maybe be a little bit alarmed, but but they are quite loud. But, they're just doing what raccoons do.
Is there a raccoon you've encountered in your studies? Maybe it's a lab raccoon, I don't know, that has a name that is your favorite?
Oh, my favorite. Well, we do capture raccoons here in Vancouver. So we capture them, we give them a microchip, and then we release them. So we don't keep them in captivity. But we do name them. And probably, I don't know, I named one Artie, I guess.
Artie the raccoon. I love it. That's good enough. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. You've answered all my questions. I appreciate you coming on the show. Your research is really interesting, and I appreciate you sharing it.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Hannah Griebling is an animal behavior and cognition researcher at the University of British Columbia. And while she wouldn't tell you this, I am naming her one of the best raccoon researchers, at least that I've spoken to. Hannah, thank you again.
Thanks so much.
Coming up next, you might think society runs on laws and maybe money, but we'll talk to someone who thinks the glue of society is actually kindness, small acts of kindness among strangers. That's what holds the fabric of everything together. What is this person's argument? I'm David Cooper, this is The Last Show, and we'll find out in a minute.
Your nightly rebellion against predictable radio and podcasts. The Last Show with David Cooper.
We like to think society runs on laws, money, maybe a little bit of fear, but researchers say it's actually running on something much smaller. Tiny acts of kindness, awkward small talk, strangers behaving slightly better to you than you'd expect. I'm here with James Coan, a psychology professor at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, to discuss all of this, the kindness of strangers and how important it is. Jim, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me on.
So is kindness a purely moral act, or is it perhaps a practical act that we do? Or are we basically like cooperation machines?
That's a good way to put it. We're basically cooperation machines. We can't help ourselves. As young as early toddlerhood, we spot what other people want to do. We don't care why they want to do it, and we get busy helping them do it. And that sort of carries on throughout our adulthood.
Now, the weak ties we have with all the people we interact with in our lives, the strangers, the acquaintances, the baristas, our neighbors, why do these matter so much, these kind of ties and the way we act towards these people?
Yeah. Well, your brain is constantly asking a question because of the way that we evolved. And that question is, am I alone, or do I have resources that can help me if I need help? We're an intensely social species. So being isolated involuntarily, I should note, sometimes being alone when you don't have to be is like sublime. But when you have to be alone, that's like death. That was a death sentence as we were evolving as a species. And so it's really important for our brain to get feedback from our environment that we are embedded in a social fabric, a network. And it doesn't have to be, people running up to us and grabbing our hands and gazing into our eyes lovingly and saying, I love you and value you and will protect you no matter what. We don't need that. And we're not going to get it even if we did. Okay. That's too much to ask. So what we have is a kind of a tiered system. We have one or two very, very, very close, intimate friends or partners, sort of concentric rings of closeness, sort of going out from that. And then this broad, very important base of embeddedness in a community, which is like a culture, which is like the people you see every day. It's like, I don't know if you ever saw Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It's like, the policeman or the mailman or the whatever it is. The barista now, we might say. So when we know those individuals, even if we don't know them by name, when we see them every day, we say, hi, how's it going? What's the story? Wow, this weather, I can't believe it. I could do it with you right now. 2 days ago, it was 90 degrees in Charlottesville. Yesterday, it snowed. Wow, instant, complete, fascinating topic to talk about.
We have so much in common, the weather.
Yeah.
Small talk, though. People say it's shallow. People say they hate it. Do we misunderstand small talk? Is small talk actually very important? Like when I ask you how you are and I'm not looking for the real answer, like I don't want you to tell me that your wife just left you or whatever. Is that still an important interaction?
Well, here's what we know according to the research. People who claim to hate small talk are actually worse at deep talk. They're worse at all kinds of talk. They're not inclined to have a passionate conversation about social, current events or, their deepest feelings and longings. This is a stereotype that often people who claim to dislike small talk will perpetuate themselves. People who are better at small talk are better at all kinds of talk. They're better at engaging you at any level. Small talk is actually part of the fabric of our weak ties. You use this term weak ties. Your listeners might not know that that's actually a technical term in the social sciences. Weak ties are people that you don't necessarily confess your sins to, but you do chat about the weird snowy weather with, and maybe with some regularity, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe you don't even know their name, but you chit chat. One of the grocery stores, I'm just going to admit this to you. One of the grocery stores I love to go to is not because of the groceries. It's because the people in them are trained to make small talk. It's Trader Joe's. I love it.
Yeah, they are very friendly there.
Love it.
I go to the coffee shop by my old apartment, even though it's about a 15-minute walk, because they occasionally give me a free coffee. But that's not why I go. It's not the money. They're friendly to me. They got a photo of my cat on the wall. And when I go, I feel like I'm a part of something, and I sometimes feel embarrassed. I'm like, I'm only going there because they act like they like me. In this weak tie outer ring. I know these people aren't my friends, but
they are. They are. And here's what you'll find out. If you're in that coffee shop when the catastrophe happens down the road and the bomb explodes, they're going to leap to your aid if you need it.
Yeah.
Before a complete stranger, because they're not complete strangers.
And I do live in downtown New York where that has happened.
Where it's happened. So every once in a while you say they give you a free coffee, right? And you're like, well, that's not why I go there. I have 2 comments for that. Mm-hmm. One is that is absolutely why you go there. The other thing is,
you're right.
That is not something to sneeze at or devalue. We can think about that free coffee literally and abstractly, metaphorically. The free coffee is regard for you as a person,
mm-hmm.
right? And you feeling even for an instant like you're seen and known, and that's like pouring a little bit of health into the top of your head.
And from my end, I tip them the price of a full coffee, so they just get extra money. I end up paying the same amount of cash, but it's that regard on both ends. It's like, okay, you guys are getting a huge tip, and it's not going to cost me any extra money. I'm getting my free coffee. Everyone feels like they were treated well, but there's like no difference in the actual interaction. Well, I suppose the employer isn't getting, the owner of the coffee shop loses.
Maybe the owner is cashing in.
No, the owner gets nothing because they get the big tip.
Well, the owner gets nothing. Yeah, I guess right. Yeah. So, but this kind of thing is exactly how your daily life works all the time. And it even works sometimes with strangers. I'll tell you a really fascinating story very quickly. Study. You can watch people walking through doors, right? This is a fascinating study. You just observe people walking through doors. And what you see is every once in a while, someone who's a little bit ahead of someone else opens the door and holds it open. Okay, we've all done that. We've all seen that, right? But what we haven't maybe noticed, because we don't record these things consciously very often, is what very commonly happens when someone holds the door open for someone else. Do you want to take a guess?
A quick thank you, a smile.
No, the person behind speeds up.
It's like me tipping extra and the barista giving me a free coffee. It's this moment of kindness where both parties step up.
But check this out. If you look at the time it takes to get those 2 individuals through the door, it's greater than the time it takes to get the 2 of them through the door when they do this little dance. When one holds the door open, the other one speeds up. So they both get through the door more rapidly than the time it would take for each one of them separately to get through the doors.
I wish we had more time. We don't have a lot, but I want to get one more question in. What happens when these acts of kindness go away? when these small habits disappear in society? Does the glue that's holding it all together disappear and society falls apart?
Absolutely. We become prone to anxiety and depression. We become prone to irrational beliefs and misinformation. We become suspicious of people who are not like us, but also our own neighbors and maybe even our own family members. We start to hollow out because what we're doing, it's sort of like operating a car that inefficiently. You're burning through too much fuel.
Well, James Coan is a psychology professor at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. Jim, sounds like the simple solution to all of our problems: kindness. And I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about it.
My pleasure.
In a few moments' time, if you're a parent and a baby cries, do you rush in or do you let them cry it out? People fight over the answer to this one, and psychologists fight over the answer to this one. We'll unpack what the science has to say in a moment.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
Gary the Snake.
And your last name?
The Snake.
Dream Team. New habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home. Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG. And right now you can get Disney Plus and Hulu for just $4.99 a month for 3 months with a special limited time offer. Ends March 24th. After 3 months, plan auto renews at $12.99 a month. Terms apply.
Exploring both interstellar and interpersonal space-time continuums. The Last Show with David Cooper.
For infants, the debate on whether you should let them cry it out is a loud one. People are divided on what to do, and it turns out psychologists are also divided on it. Is a baby crying them learning how to be independent by you not tending to them? Or is it something your child is going to be complaining about in the therapist chair many years later? I'm here with Dieter Wolke, who is a developmental psychology professor at the University of Warwick, who has researched this and I guess engaged in this debate. Dieter, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Parents have strong opinions on this, don't they? Do they basically fall into two camps, that you should let kids cry it out and others saying it's a terrible idea?
Well, they actually fall in three camps. It's a little bit more complicated. So there's a subgroup who think that you should follow a recipe. So a child is an ingredient for the recipe and you should never let them cry out. It's like a law. And then you have got parents in the other two groups who think that children develop over time. You know, babies start off crying because it's a biological need, you know, because otherwise they can't follow the mum for feeds, you know, they need safety and security. But as they get older, crying changes. They understand is also to get attention and to get what they want. So they do it intentionally. So early on biological, second half of the first year, it becomes intentional. So the parents actually operate intuitively. So what they do is they let them sometimes cry it out. So early on, not. But then as they get a bit older, they wait a few times. And that's about 40% of parents, we found in our study. And then another 25% start off that they let them cry out. And then there will be about 35% by about 18 months who let them cry it out often. And they have realized that the important thing is that you do differential responding. So you respond to the child, on your individual child, rather than the recipe, when they know what the child wants, whether it does it intentionally, like having a temper tantrum by 18 months, and you want to take attention away, or it has hurt themselves.
I think all parents would want to have the 8-year-old or 9-year-old kid, the kid who's too old. They would not want to have the kid who's at the supermarket, sees the candy bar, starts crying, and as soon as the parent hands them the candy bar, they immediately stop, and it's very clear that they're using crying as a form of manipulation. All parents would want to avoid something like that. How do we end up with a kid who really learns that crying is a means to get what they want?
Well, if you all the time respond. So it's very important. The first 3 to 4 months, in every country in the world, the babies start off, then they cry a little bit more by 5-6 weeks, and then the crying reduces to about 4 months. So it's about 2.5 hours by 4 to 5 weeks, and then it goes down to 70 minutes. And during the early time, you can do whatever you want. You want to respond, and you should respond immediately, but you still will have about 30% of the crying that you won't be able to console. And the babies have no intention to wind you up because they just don't have the cognitive ability. It's biological. But when they're in the second half of the first year, they might, for example, cry in the evening to go to bed because they want to keep you for attention, or wake up a lot at night and cry to signal to you because they get attention. So you then differentially, in those situations, withdraw that you react immediately and see whether the baby can learn to self-regulate. That's their first self-concept. I can actually stop crying by myself. I can settle myself back.
Back to the original question I posed when we started talking, this question of how fast do you respond? Why has this become such a huge ideological battle for psychologists, for parents who have differing opinions? Why does this strike such a strong opinion in people?
It is very interesting that about some things, like in parenting, without empirical evidence, that you get one group, and this is called attachment parenting. There's one study which was done with 26 white middle-class stay-at-home mothers, which looked at whether if you intervene immediately. And from that study base, they have said, if you don't immediately respond, then your child will not bond properly to it. And 3 studies, including one which we conducted, one in Canada and one in the Netherlands, did exactly this and found, no, if you don't respond immediately, it makes no difference to attachment. In a way, it's very important that we take away this pressure that parents often have that they influence their child. Rather, we say, you can do different things, and it really doesn't make much of a difference for the child's attachment development as long as you're sensitive towards a child.
Is the crux of it all that parents are just so deeply worried that they'll damage their children with one wrong move? This seems like a fear that's there, and parents are looking at studies, even with inconsistent results, to just confirm that, oh, no, if I make one mistake, I'll damage my child.
I think it is because we have got fewer children today than we had 100 years ago. And it is in particular with the attachment parent is the older parent, the wealthier parent, who rely very much on parenting books so that they get a recipe and have this strong belief system. So in our study, we found the parents who had more children, who were actually less well off, were more likely using occasionally to let the child cry it out, or the babies cry it out.
So is the resolve here that we should just do whatever and both techniques work and that we shouldn't have such strong opinions on it? Is that a valid takeaway, or how would you correct me there?
No, the really valid takeaway is that most parents, if you don't overread on it, have got an intuition of how you should bring up your baby. And if you have got 2 children, you realize that even with the same parent, these 2 children are quite different, like your sibling. Yeah, and the parents have to react to them differently. So my advice is observe your baby because it's special. There's no other baby like yours. Observe what it reacts to best. And then intuitively, most parents start off to responding immediately because it's a biological need early on. And then after a time, they realize I can wait a little bit. It's like with homework. You don't do the homework for the child, but you see whether it can solve the task first, and if it can't, you of course assist it. So I'm not saying let it cry out, the child, or respond immediately, but gradually over the first year start waiting a little bit longer to see whether the child or the baby can learn to soothe himself or herself.
So trust your instincts as a parent is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. Go back, not listening to a lot of the middle-class parents we find when they come into the clinic is they're used to their diary. And babies don't follow a diary. They don't have you can't stop them, or they don't fit into this scheme we're used to organize our life. And so you have to let go a little bit, relax a little bit, and believe in your intuition.
There are critics of this cry it out theory that says that it can increase stress hormone in young babies, and that can in turn affect brain development. Would you take a concern like that seriously?
Yeah, it's always important to take it seriously, but the empirical studies show that the mothers get more stressed, but it's not the babies. So there are 2 studies which have been conducted on it.
Well, it sounds like we're creatures of instincts. We have strong instincts, and we often are told not to trust them. But where would we have stronger instincts than in the Department of Child Rearing, which is such a, biological imperative for so many people? I think that's a good takeaway from this. Don't stress too much on cry it out, don't cry it out. Tend to the baby as it's needed.
Exactly. Observe your own baby and see what this baby needs. And even 2 in the same family may need slightly different things, and most parents parent them differently.
Well, Dr. Dieter Wolke is a developmental psychology professor at the University of Warwick in the UK. Dieter, I've enjoyed talking to you. Thanks for being on the program.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Coming up after the break, man's best friend, the dog. If we look at golden retrievers, a new study says their genetics, their genes, well, they share some with us. And the ones they share are linked to anxiety, aggression, and intelligence in humans. Sounds pretty interesting. We'll dig in a moment.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Jackson Hewitt handles your taxes and your stress. Inhale on no surprise price of $149 or less. Exhale, paying more for complicated taxes. You won't. Inhale, new tax law knowledge. Exhale, missing out on your biggest refund? Certainly not. Don't miss paying $149 or less. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
For those who know that questioning everything includes questioning this show's existence. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Golden retrievers, man's best friend. Could we share something genetically in common with them, and it's not just our common interest in licking our own rear? Never mind. I'm here with Dr. Cliff Redford. It is Vet Talk. It is Pet Talk. Cliff is a veterinarian. We go over all the animal science news you need to know, probably. Cliff, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, you got a podcast. It's called Vet Life. It's actually great. People should check it out. Okay. Sharing genes with other mammals. It shouldn't surprise you if you know much about genes, and I don't, so I was surprised by this story. What genes do we share in common with the common golden retriever?
I mean, this surprised me, and, I'm a learned person.
Learned?
Learned? I'm a learned.
No, it's learned. No, you're right.
Learned? No, I don't know. I'm smart. I speaks good.
You're smarts.
I smarts. So this is a study, a bunch of scientists, bunch of smart people, learned people at a University of Cambridge did an article in the Proceeding of National Academy of Science magazine. And it was titled Golden Retriever Genes Linked to Anxiety, Aggression, and Intelligence in Humans. This is pretty interesting. So what they did was they took 1,300 golden retrievers.
All in one room? That sounds like chaos to me.
That sounds like a party. Come on. They spoke to the owners of 1,300 golden retrievers. One owner with 1,300 golden retrievers? All right, let's get serious here. And they were looking for genetic clues on why some of these dogs are anxious, some of them are more energetic, some of them are aggressive. And then they looked at the genomes of each of these golden retrievers, because we can mark the genome, we can map the genome, pardon me. And they found that there are some genetic markers associated with some of these intelligence, some of these emotional behaviors or these characteristics. But then they also found that these same exact genetic codes are seen in people and are also linked to certain
traits,
intellectual or emotional traits. So what they ended up finding, like for example, they found the gene, the PTPN1 gene.
Oh, the PTPN1 gene. I think everyone knows about that.
Everyone knows about that. So then everybody knows that the PTPN1 gene is linked to dog aggression. So specifically dogs that are aggressive towards other dogs. Well, in humans, the PTPN1 gene is linked to depression and intelligence. And that there are also other variants of the PTPN1 gene in people that sort of focus on or are linked to people who dwell on embarrassing experiences.
Guilty as charged.
And or have high educational success.
Well, not guilty as charged there. Yeah.
Not guilty. Okay, we had to see there. Who knows? And so they started to see, well, not only does genetics have a role in governing behavior, which I think is a huge sort of point in this study, which we kind of knew, but it's always nice to see it more and more and more often. But they continued to find more of these genetic codes. There's another one, as I call the ROMO1, ROMO1. And in golden retrievers, it is linked to trainability as well as, just trainability. However, but in people, it's linked to, again, intelligence, but also emotional stability. So these characteristics are not the same from the golden retriever to the person, but it's showing that there is a link that these genetic codes are related to emotional characteristics, IQ, depression, anxiety, energy, playfulness.
It's a cool link, if anything else.
Yeah, and it sort of, it doesn't take away the responsibility that we have and that our dog has. They need to be more responsible for their actions. Everyone and every dog has choices, but there is obviously a link. And I've talked about on this show a little bit, a lot more on my podcast, Vet Life with Dr. Cliff. You can find it anywhere.
He did that. Go on.
And like my dog Bo, his mother is a Shepherd Corgi cross. Her name is Pinky, and his father is a wild dog up in the reservation north of the Arctic Circle.
Oh my goodness.
And my dog Bo, I think he's a polar bear. My dog Bo is a little bit crazy. The way he hunts the bunny rabbits in our backyard, and he's just got ADD energy and hunting energy and whatnot. I assumed he got it from his father because his father had to survive above the Arctic Circle outside. But no, I've met his mother. I rescued his mother. She's now at her forever home. She's exactly like her son, or her son is exactly like her. So there is a genetic link. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And it shows that we share sort of genetic traits with our dogs. Our dogs share it with us. They're obviously, as long as you believe in evolution, I'm not so sure I do.
Are you serious?
I'm not serious.
Okay.
I'm not serious.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, oh
Come
boy.
on.
I don't know, man. People are wild. You get the most brilliant scientists who then have fringe beliefs. Who knows, man?
I mean, I believe in evolution, but I don't think it was a natural process. I think it was pushed along by the aliens who are keeping an eye on us.
All right. Okay.
However, either way, we share an ancestor with dogs, and somehow that genetic trait or that genetic code of behavior has been linked. And there you go. You got to be a little bit, what I get out of this as a veterinarian and be kind to animals is you got to be a little bit more patient with your dog when your dog is making mistakes, when your dog's difficult to train, because the reality is you are probably as well. And you would want people to be patient with you if you're constantly trying to lick your rear end and embarrassing people in public.
My girlfriend's very patient with me when she tries to train me.
That is not what I thought you were about to say when you said that.
My girlfriend. Oh. No, Cliff. But no, she's very patient with me when she's trying to train me, and I have, I'm untrainable because of my genetics. I suppose is the takeaway here.
does she reward good behavior or does she punish bad behavior? Or in your case, is punishment also a reward for behavior?
Again, that would be the last show after dark, Cliff. That would be our OnlyFans version of the program. People would have to pay to listen to, so I can't answer that.
No one's going to pay to listen to this show. Come on, David. Not when I'm on anyways.
I would pay to listen to this show, probably. Why aren't mammals as colorful as other reptiles, birds, or fish?
Yeah, so it all comes down to, again, evolution. Good segue. So most animals are brown and black and a little bit of white, and it's because they only have melanin as a pigment source, whereas lizards and birds have 3 other types that I won't list off right now for sake of time, but also a lot of these birds and lizards on their feathers and on their scales, different than the very simple fur that mammals typically have, they have these things called nanoscales that reflect light and refract light to cause...
Iridescence, I believe, is the word there. Yeah.
Iridescence, yeah. It causes colorful colors. And if you think again back to evolution, most mammals were prey animals back in the prehistoric days, whereas the lizards and the birds came from dinosaurs, and most of them were prey. So the dinosaurs didn't care if they were flamboyant and everyone could see them, but the prey mammals, who mostly sort of were awake during the dark to try and stay hidden, they didn't want to be seen, so they stayed dull.
Well, natural selection meant if they stayed dull, they would do better than other, mutations, so forth.
Yeah, but they're still dull.
Now, speaking of predators, like Cliff Redford.
You're the one wearing the neon yellow glasses here.
I am wearing
I have dull colors, so.
Fair enough. The Chinese invasive crab can spread to almost any environment. It eats on any invertebrate, well, many of them, and it is coming for you and your protected species. We'll talk about what to do about these invasive crabs that could come for you at any minute. Up next.
Dun, dun, dun.
Maybe I slightly over-exaggerated there. Cliff Redford will be back.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. The last show with David Cooper, where we utilize non-linear reverse, inverse, backward thinking protocols. It sounds like this.
The Chinese invasive crab. It can adapt to almost any environment. It eats local flora and fauna, probably only fauna. Even protected species, many different types of species. Look, it's a problem, and Cliff's going to tell us about it. Dr. Cliff Redford is here. It is Vet Talk or Pet Talk, the name of what we do every week, I don't know. Cliff, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. So, I'm a veterinarian, but I'm not a scientist. Maybe I am. What is the difference between flora and fauna?
Flora is the plants and fauna is the critters. Yeah.
Right. So this Chinese mitten crab
sounds adorable.
Does eat both flora and fauna.
Okay, well then whatever. I was just trying to make a dramatic introduction for you. Come on.
It sounds adorable because it looks kind of adorable. I encourage everyone, once you're not driving or once you're not listening to this show, to Google the Chinese mitten crab, and you'll see why they call it the Chinese mitten crab.
Its little claws are furry looking. They look like little mittens.
Yeah, it looks like fur, and it is a fur-like substance. They got fur on their claws, and it's also a dull color. So the Chinese mitten crab, known as Ariochair sinensis, has traveled from East Asia and is now populating and growing out of control as far as numbers in European rivers. And now scientists are saying it is one of the world's most dangerous invasive species.
Great. And how do they hitch a ride when they come? Do they take like a first class ticket on a plane? Like how do they actually get to Europe or North America?
Yeah, I don't know if they do a first-class ticket. Where would they put their passport? That's the big question. That otherwise, yes, they would be fine. They believe there's three ways. So they're the larva from these guys, the little itty bitty, almost a crab but not quite, can hide out in like various containing units that may have been in contact with seawater, and they can survive sort of in unusual circumstances. Dryness, the larva can survive for quite a long time. Food markets. So occasionally they believe that this East Asian crab, this mitten crab, was at a Asian food market in the UK, let's say, and somehow escaped, or someone just tossed it out and they couldn't sell it. Who knows? And then also aquaria, like small aquariums, medium-sized aquariums. People have them kind of as pets or kind of as, just like mini zoos, I guess. So you want to show off to your friends that you got these little furry clawed crabs. And then what do you do when you're sick of them? You flush them down the toilet. No, they're too big for that. You dump them in the river. And this is a trend.
Don't dump your pets in the river is a moral of the story here.
Do not do that. Be kind to animals. So the thing with these crabs is they are very hardy. Like Tom Hardy, they're very hardy. They survive in dirty water. They can handle temperature variance, different salt levels. They survive in polluted water. So they've gone up into, sort of city canals and levees and urban rivers, and they're clogging up the different sewer systems. They're clogging up the different filtration systems of like water power plants. And then they are damaging the environment because they come up onto land and they dig, good 1 meter sort of canals in the mud where they're going to mate, where they're going to lay eggs.
Basically, these crabs are schmucks, is what you're saying.
Basically, and they eat flora and fauna. They eat water plants, they eat algae, they eat invertebrates, they eat fish eggs, and then they breed like crazy. These guys, they had one female, I guess that's not necessarily obvious. They had a female crab with 1 million eggs on her shell.
That's
at one point.
A lot more than 6 or 7.
That's a lot more than your average kitten. This is a mitten crab. So they grow like crazy, and they're destroying the environment, and they're destroying endangered species. But there is hope. Ooh. Not for the crab, but for us. Because apparently they're delicious.
Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, eat your invertebrates. That's what my mother always said. Eat my invasives. That's what I meant to say.
Eat your invasives.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
With your broccoli, please. Yeah, so people have realized that they are very yummy to eat. I mean, that doesn't surprise anyone because food markets, they're being sold there. And they're now turning them into commodities. And they're trying to find a way. They've sort of realized we cannot get rid of them. So let's at least control their population. And one of the way is to turn them into a delicatessen. But there are dangers. Because they live in these polluted rivers, et cetera, they can carry a lot of mercury, a lot of PCP in there. PCP? No, I don't know if that's right.
Sounds a little off. Those crabs are going wild.
That sounds a little bit off. One of the other ones, PCB, I think it is. But all these pollutants in their meat, and if you don't cook them properly, you can get the lung fluke, so a nasty parasite. So Mother Nature is fighting back on all sort of fronts. But yeah, they're nasty. And this reminded me of the lionfish. So when I was volunteering in Jamaica, the lionfish is an invasive species, and they believe that 4 lionfish were released off the coast of Boston.
Just 4 individuals?
Just 4 in like the late 80s. And now there are millions of them all through the Caribbean, all around the UK islands, the British Isles, and even the western coast of Europe. And lionfish breed much faster. They become breeding size at something like 6 months, which is much faster than most fish. They are very sort of effective predators. So they will kill off other fish species very, very quickly. And the sharks in the area or the turtles in the area, because they're invasive species, they don't know how to hunt them and get around their toxic spines. They've got these spines that if you touch, it will put you in the hospital. But Jamaica realized, and other Caribbean islands and everywhere else around the world realized that they're good eating. And so they're now they do these public service announcements about how to catch them, how to take off their poisonous spikes safely, and then what best ways to cook them.
Ooh, delicious.
So I guess the moral of the story is if you're an invasive species, you're probably pretty tasty.
It reminds me of the spotted lanternfly, which arrived here in New York on like shipping containers. And they're these huge, but like very docile bugs. And when you squish them, they have that moth-like papery texture.
Okay.
But the state and the city of New York were like, okay, if you see one, kill one. And there was this like big public campaign and everyone felt like it was their civic duty. So like here in New York, you'd see like some models, you know, with the heels and the cool outfits and like done up in downtown New York, like for Fashion Week. And someone would be like, spotted lanternfly. And like the woman would like smash it with her heels. And it was like a very funny, and there's like videos of this happening. And that was last summer, 2 summers ago. You know, now they're everywhere. What are you going to do? But I kill them when I see them.
You got to see if they're edible.
Squash them.
See if they taste good.
I don't know about eating bugs. I mean, I guess like, you know, cricket tacos and stuff, but I'm not eating a lanternfly. No, thank you. They're kind of like cute cockroaches. They're like red with like white and black spots, you know.
They don't glow?
I don't know if they glow, but you would think they would. They are called lanternflies.
You would think. Maybe it's the paper lantern and that's sort of their paper wings that you're talking about.
Ooh, that could be right. All right, Cliff Redford is a veterinarian. I know how English works. You can check out his podcast, Vet Life. Cliff, it's been a joy talking about animal news, science, veterinary stuff with you.
Thank you, and don't forget, eat your invasives.
Eat your invasives and your broccoli, but also your invasives. Coming up next, the company that will pay you $800 to bully an AI for a full day. Seriously, this can be your career. Roast a chatbot. Is it all for research or revenge? We'll give you details and tell you how you can sign up in a moment.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Broadcasting from the neutral zone, where every perspective gets diplomatic immunity. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
A startup is offering someone $800 to bully an AI for a day. 8 hours of roasting chatbots that forget what you just told them. Finally, a job where yelling at technology is not a sign that you're having a breakdown. No, it's all a day's work. I'm here with Anna Altchek, who's recently reported on this. She's a leadership and workplace reporter at Business Insider. Anna, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So first off, how does this idea even occur to a business? Like that they want to pay someone to be cruel to an AI for a day?
Yeah, it's definitely a niche job posting. So the reason it came about is because the company, it's a startup, it's called Membit, and it's actually focused on creating an AI memory tool to help improve chatbots remember things. So the idea behind this job listing is that someone is going to be using chatbots all day, record their experience, and ask the LLMs questions, and then kind of watch it get it wrong, and then yell at it or bully it, and try and get it right again. And the idea is that they'll then use this video as some kind of promotion to show that AI is not that good at remembering things, and their product can help improve that.
Okay, so it's not some like secret scientist thinking, oh, if only we're cruel to AIs, they'll be better at remembering things. It's more a marketing stunt or something like this.
Correct. Yeah, it's a marketing tool. I assume the idea is that it will go viral or something along those lines.
Although, if you do get the job, you do get to put a label on your resume or a line item on your resume that says professional AI bully. This is a great marketing stunt. It's so easy to get upset at AI companies these days. Is this just something where we're hoping to feel good about a company and potentially its new product?
Yeah, I think so many people get frustrated. And so this company is definitely playing on that and hoping to capitalize on people's frustrations, obviously. But yeah, in an age where we're all using AI, we all get frustrated with it. We're all getting told to use it all the time. This is kind of like a lighthearted way to show that it's not perfect. There's still a lot of issues with it. And obviously, this company wants to sell its product, which is supposed to improve those issues. So
let's have fun with this for a second. What would bullying AI actually look like in practice? Are we talking rude sarcasm, like relentless follow-up questions? Do I just repeat myself? Like, what would I do to bully an AI? What would you do?
what would I do? That's a great question. I mean, I think we've all been annoyed at AI before, whether you're using it for work or personal use, like as your therapist, or just to kind of go through like talking points with it. It definitely has memory issues at times, or maybe it's just getting something wrong. It's hallucinating. And so I think people do get frustrated. I've personally heard a lot about whether or not we're supposed to yell at AI or like show that we're getting annoyed at it. So this is kind of a fun way to let loose and not be wondering about the moral implications of it. But yeah, I assume people curse at AI or, tell it, no, you're getting it wrong. They probably wouldn't be talking to it the way they'd talk to an actual human in person. So I'm sure it varies, for each person. I haven't gone crazy on an AI agent yet, but I assume a lot of people have or want to. So yeah, I think the spectrum is probably pretty broad.
I've seen the Terminator movie series. I don't want to get on their bad side. But okay, Let's get a little serious here. This holy grail of AI memory. Do current products, I'm thinking like Claude or ChatGPT, do they get this wrong? Is there room for growth here? Is there like room for AI tools that really have a good idea and remember who we are, what we said, the context of what we're saying, even throughout complicated chat sessions, complicated questions?
Yeah, so I think this startup specifically, it creates an add-on tool so that you can attach it to any LLM model that you're using. I think that there are definitely memory issues with AI tools. If you've used any, then you know that it gets stuff wrong. Not all the time, but definitely sometimes it's getting better and better. But I think that the memory issue, the hallucination issue, the inaccuracy issue is still very much a thing. And it's not perfect, but the technology is definitely getting better every day. So who's to say this will be an issue in, 6 months from now, a year from now? But it definitely is still something that I think people have to be wary of when they're using these tools.
So if I ask ChatGPT for a recipe, I say there's no garlic in my pantry. And then like 10 prompts later, it's saying a recipe suggesting garlic. It's annoying, but it's fine. But when we talk about like healthcare, like, okay, you've read my chart. Now I'm asking you complicated questions about my medical current diagnosis. You need to account for my history. This seems like an important thing for tools that could be in like things that involve people's health and other areas. This seems like an important thing that I'm surprised we don't have nailed down right now.
I would agree with that. I think that's the founder actually told me that that's why this tool came about for him and his co-founder. They were basically trying to create an AI healthcare tool, and they were finding that it wasn't remembering things properly. And so that's why they ended up creating this like add-on or extension memory tool for AI, because it was such an issue. So yeah, I think when you're dealing with things like finance or healthcare, things like that, really data heavy sectors, you want it to be 100% accurate. You want it to remember what you said. And so it very much is still an issue. But the models, the companies are working on getting the models better. So we'll have to wait and see when it gets, fully corrected. But obviously, no technology is perfect. I mean, even using Google today isn't 100% perfect. So to be determined.
TBD. Okay, we've done enough serious stuff, I think, for this interview to at least be considered slightly educational. Let's get back to this job application. $800 a day to bully an AI. How can I sign up? I want this job. I want that money.
Basically, anyone can sign up. I believe it was 18 and older was the main requirement, and someone who has actually used these tools, someone who is willing to be recorded. But in terms of the actual skills needed, you don't need a computer science degree, experience working in AI, or anything like that. You really just have to fill out this application. talk about your personal history of, being let down by technology, and explain why you want to work there. So yeah, as long as you fill out that application and, I think they're looking for someone who's particularly frustrated or who might be, especially animated while they're doing this job. I've actually, since writing this article, I've had people reach out to me and ask if they can get the job. So I think it definitely is striking a chord with some people. I'm sure they want to get someone who is going to be extra frustrated so that they can really highlight this issue.
And after it's done, I suppose we'll get to see videos of it. Like, what do you think we'll learn? Or is this really just, like I said earlier, a marketing stunt? We're not actually going to learn anything from abusing an AI for 8 hours.
I mean, I don't, maybe we will learn something. I think most people aren't using AI straight for 8 hours, talking to a chatbot, or maybe they are, but not in this exercise specifically. So I think the idea is to really test its memory for 8 hours. So maybe we will learn something from it. I think the company is kind of doing this as a test, and it'll see if they want to try this promotional stunt again, but they're not having someone fake it. Like, it's not, no one's acting for this. It is supposed to be real, the founder told me. So I think there's a chance that we'll actually see like how bad the memory is, if that's really the case. But I do think at the end of the day, it is, the idea is for them to go viral over this. So we'll see how good the video ends up being and how juicy it is, I guess, behind the scenes of someone yelling at AI.
Well, you can find leadership and workplace reporter at Business Insider Anna Altchek's article on this subject. It's titled, "This Company Wants to Pay You $800 to Bully an AI for a Day." You can read that in Business Insider. Anna, it's been a joy chatting with you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
That's a wrap on the show, the night, the week. Want to catch videos of what we do here on the program? Want to see a weird reaction shot of a guest's face when I ask them a particularly odd question? Follow us on social media, where we'll post video clips of the program. We're on most platforms at lastshow.pizza, like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You get what I'm trying to say. Also, we've got a podcast. So if you like what you've heard, but you just tuned in so you missed some of the program and you want to hear what you missed, or you loved a particular interview that you want to hear again, fear not, you can subscribe to our podcast. Find out more details at our website. That's at www.lastshow.pizza. That's not .com, .pizza, or just search David Cooper Last Show on your favorite podcast app, like Apple or Spotify. We'll pop up and you can subscribe. Also, there's some bonus content that you won't hear on the regular radio program. And I mean it. We got some stuff dropping this weekend on the podcast, so do subscribe. I'm David Cooper. This was The Last Show. We'll be back Monday night.
Firefighters risk their lives every single day.
Fridays on Global.
I'm gonna get you out of here, bud. This is the greatest job in the world.
An all-new Fire Country.
Firefighter Leone, I need you to make your own risk assessment. We're going in.
Deep in the woods behind you, there's a wildfire.
We're in the game now, boys!
TV's hottest show.
It's off. Be safe.
Keeps getting hotter.
Will you help?
Happy to.
Fire Country, all new Fridays at 9 Eastern on Global. Stream on Stack TV.